this is just a brief story of how not to get mugged, how I avoided being mugged, and then how I prevented someone else from being mugged and arrested the person who was mugging this lady. So welcome back, I'm the Black Belt Barrister, helping you to understand law and bringing you some interesting stories, some of which are from my past. So many moons ago, I was in Birmingham city centre with a friend of mine, and we rounded the corner near New Street Station. A group of boys came towards us, one of which was standing front of pack and came up towards us and said, "Excuse me, have you got the time?" Now, notwithstanding the fact that there was a clock just a few metres away, each of them no doubt had a wristwatch, and we were already in the days where each of them, or at least one of them, would have had a phone, so there was no conceivable reason why they would want to ask us complete strangers what the time was. Now, this, for the uninitiated, is a simple distraction technique that a would-be mugger will get you to take your eyes away from them, look at something else, such as your wristwatch, at which point one or more of them might try to mug you. So I, being alive to this and a little bit switched on, took a couple of deliberate steps back, took my wristwatch up in front of my face, barely took my eyes from eye contact, read the time and told this chap the time. He obviously realised that I was wise to this and they just moved on. My friend, however, was a little bit upset with me, saying that I was being a little bit prejudiced against this group of boys, presuming their guilt rather than their innocence, but I told him why I had concerns, but he still didn't believe me anyway. Nonetheless, 5 minutes later, we are round the corner standing at a crossing, my friend and I standing next to each other, a small gap to my right, and then two ladies after that. Sure enough, the young man that was at the front of this pack earlier was crossing the crossing from the other side. Now, we were waiting because the crossing was on red and the traffic was on green, and yet he was crossing anyway, albeit there were no cars at that very moment in time. Straight away, and yet again, I thought that there was something slightly suspicious about this young chap as he was crossing the road. So I was already alive to this, but he'd obviously forgotten who I was and his focus was elsewhere. Unsurprisingly, as he came between me and the ladies next to me, he grabbed the lady's handbag and tried to run as she screamed. Because I was already waiting for this subconsciously, I reached out to this guy, told him that he was being detained for robbery and held him there until the police arrived. I took the handbag off him, gave it back to the lady. She was obviously very distraught and we waited for the police to arrive, and I held this guy with reasonable force until the police came and arrested him. So this just goes to show that being that little bit suspicious of who you meet on the street and what they ask you for and why they might be asking, thinking about your surroundings, thinking about the circumstances, and just questioning everything just that little bit might save you from being robbed and mugged, and might help you to save someone else from being robbed and mugged at the same time. So I hope you found that story interesting. Please give this video a like. If you like stories like this, remember to subscribe, and thanks for watching.